The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Live, I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're coming to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. Thrilled to be here with you on this November 1st. We hope that you all had a happy and safe Halloween. We have to start with saying that our prayers and our thoughts go out to those in New York City, and of course we're shocked and devastated along with everyone else. But we hope that the rest of you are doing okay and that you found the time to have fun, good scare fun last night. A little bit later on, Nancy and I are going to show some pictures of what our kids did and share that. In just a minute, we're going to be joined by Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh for Ask Dr. Doreen. We're thrilled to be bringing that to you live this morning. And a little bit later on, we'll have Nancy Osbaugh-Jackson joining me for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Our special guest today is Matt Asner from Autism Society of America. He's talking about a very special concert that is coming up on December 2nd with Cheap Trick. I'm borrowing these teeth this morning. Cheap Trick. It's going to be a wonderful thing, and we're going to tell you a little bit about how there's somebody very special, close and near to our hearts that's involved with that concert, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So that's all coming up, but we want to remind you that this entire show is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, your feelings, your questions, your concerns. Samantha's going to show you some of the different ways that you can participate. While she does, I'm going to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com, and I'm telling you insider information. We're getting a retool on that even as we speak, and wait until you guys see what the new website is going to look like. It's going to blow your mind. But for now, make sure that you go there. There are lots of things to do there, even on the site as it is now. You can click on the triangle and start the live show playing or the most recently recorded live show. But to the side of all that is something we call the live feature. And those things are not going away, by the way, in the new. It just looks fancier. And there are more things that you can choose from. But the live feature is there for you if you want to interact with us in that forum. Of course, you can do it on YouTube. Of course, you can do it on Periscope or Twitter or on Facebook Live. But the nice thing about the live feature on our homepage is it's completely anonymous. We don't know who you are, and the audience doesn't know who you are. And sometimes that's just what you need, right? So what you do is you go to the website and you put your cursor in the box that says your question, and you just start typing, and that's it. There isn't a login. There's no username. You don't have to prove that you're not a robot. You don't have to give a credit card. It's all free, all anonymous, which I absolutely love. You just have to type and hit enter. It shows up here, and you and I can have a conversation. But better than that, you can have a conversation with our experts. And there is no better expert that we have ever had on the show than Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, which is just my way of saying that it's time for Ask Dr. Doreen.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen, and we're welcoming back Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure.
We always miss you when you're not here. We always tell our audience.
Yeah, I've missed a few weeks, I think.
But you have other things to do, and sometimes those things call you away, and we have to share you. And we understand that, but we love it when you're here.
Thank you so much.
We do love that, and our audience loves that too. I want to remind people that Dr. Granpeesheh is a true expert in the field of autism. She's also a visionary in this field. She's been working in in this field for you're coming up on some
40
crazy
years
number.
next year.
40 years next year. You would never believe that to look at her, but it's true. There is a painting aging underneath the bed somewhere for her. But we're so grateful. I think the whole world is grateful that you've been working in this field so long, and that you not only see things from the perspective of the individuals who are on the spectrum, but also for their caregivers and the people who love them, and the people who are helping them to overcome the challenges that they have and make those what they're overcoming meaningful, because it's not the same for everyone.
Absolutely.
And you're fantastic that way.
Thank
So
you
we
very
thank
much.
you. So you guys can be writing in your questions to her right now on our YouTube channel, on our live feature, on our Facebook Live, on our Periscope, on our Twitter, all those different ways. But I want to take a question that came in on the live feature right away. And before that, I want to just say, we always start with a disclaimer that there is no expert that in this format could give individual specific advice. So that is not the intent here. Dr. Grant-Pichet is here to share the wealth of knowledge that she has and help us to know maybe what questions we have and who to ask them of, and give us some general information about how you might proceed. So just want to be clear about that. Okay, this person just wrote in a few minutes ago, I have tons of questions and concerns about my son who is on the spectrum, but I just needed a safe place to say I'm tired and frustrated. I needed a safe place to say this. This is going to make me cry.
Yeah.
I needed a safe place to say this and not feel like a bad mother. I love my son to death, but life is so difficult right now. He's 2.5. He's frustrated because he can't communicate very well. He's lashing out and hitting. But at the same time, he is the sweetest little boy. He's happy 90% of the time, but between his difficulties and the terrible twos, he's having a rough time. Thank you for letting me vent. I don't feel like I can let out my sadness with many people because no one in my family has a child with ASD. My husband is amazing, but I really feel so alone. And I believe that this next comment is also from them, that they say, I also have a 10-year-old, not on the spectrum. I feel like I'm failing my family. I'm so exhausted, and this process only just begun. I just needed to have a good cry, and now I'm ready to continue fighting for both my boys. Thank you for being that safe place for so many of us. Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Such an emotional email. And first of all, as Shannon would say, air hugs.
yes, no kidding.
Not only is this a safe place for you to share, but also I'm happy that you reached out, because I just want to get you onto the right path so that you don't feel this way, going forward. So some suggestions. One is, don't think of this as a never-ending thing, first of all. So I think that sometimes we feel hopeless and because we think we don't know that there's an end in sight. And we're like, if you knew that 6 months from now things are going to be very different, I think you'd have a renewed sense of energy. And so let's work on making sure that not even 6 months, 2 months from now or 3 months from now, things are going to be very different. And so by that, what I mean is that we need to stop for a minute. Sometimes when I feel the same way here at CARD, because CARD is growing so fast, that I feel like I'm running all the time, right? And when you're running all the time and you're running pretty fast, it's very hard to pay attention to certain things that might be more important in the long run, because what you're doing is you're just dealing with stuff that's happening right now. It's like, he's crying right now, I got to deal with it, I have to take care of the 10-year-old, I have to do this, and you're going so fast. And we tend to forget some of the things that are really important to save our own lives 3 months from now. And so I want to remind you of some of those and ask that perhaps every night after the kids are asleep, you spend maybe half an hour working on this particular project. And this particular project is, we'll call it the Sanity Project. And it's going to be the project that will give you back your sanity. It'll bring you back to a place where you can survive, and not only survive, but you can feel better. So what you need is, first of all, to develop a better support system. And that means that you need to have at least one person, ideally two, but at least one person with whom you can share things without worrying about it, but also who can jump in and be a temporary mom here and there. And that would be maybe a best friend, a cousin, a sister, a mom, another mom from school, or someone that you feel could just, and they just need to have compassion towards you and be able to jump in for a few hours, maybe an afternoon, when you need a break, maybe a full day, whenever you need a break. It could be your husband, it could be anyone in your extended family, but you need to identify that person or those people. And specifically, so what you need to do tonight when you have that break after the kids are asleep is to first list the potential people. It's like throwing a party. Make your list. And the next thing is, like tomorrow or the next day, you will literally contact these people and say, I need you to be my surrogate person, or whatever you want to call it, but I need you to be my fill-in. And it won't happen very often, but when it happens, I need to make sure there's a fill-in, so that I can just have you come and take care of stuff for half a day. And during that half a day, I will be going to the spa. I will be going shopping. I will be going and sleeping. I will be going to do my hair, whatever it is, but whatever that is has to do just with you. Nothing about the kids, nothing taking care of anyone else. It is just taking care of you. And, sometimes we need that once a week. Sometimes we don't need it for a whole month. But you need to have a person who can step in. And, sometimes you might also have the financial resources to hire that person. I don't know. But I remember when I had 3 young children, I had to have nanny help. If I didn't have, and I had au pairs, but if I didn't have au pairs, my life would have been a disaster, because I had to travel, I had to deal with card business, I had to deal with the house and the family and my mother and all sorts of stuff, and I needed those people there to help me. So you need to build that support system first. That's really, really important. Because so once you have that and you feel a little bit more sanity, then once you're a little bit stable and kind of like you feel like you don't feel exhausted all the time, then you can start actually planning some stuff that's going to be very important for your child, which means he's a 2.5-year-old. That's terrific. Get him into a full comprehensive ABA program right away. I don't know where you live. If you are close to a card site, card centers allow you to bring the child and leave the child all day there. We will do therapy at our site. We will train you extensively so that you feel completely comfortable with him and that you can follow through when you're with him at home. But we also feel that we have research. We've published research that shows the kids do better twice as fast. They learn twice as fast at our sites than they do in the home. So, find a site, get ABA therapy. If you're not close to a card site, find a really good ABA therapist or a BCBA who will recommend, and hopefully you're in a state where there is insurance coverage, recommend and get a 40-hour program, not a 10-hour program, not anything less than 40. He's a 2.5-year-old. This is the age where children should receive comprehensive, intensive early intervention. So that means a 40 hours per week program that does not include other activities. That is pure ABA therapy, 40 hours a week. And if you're dividing it by 5 days, then it's very clear. If you're dividing it by 7 days, that's even better, because you can have some coverage over the weekend. Make that happen as soon as possible. Let me tell you, insurances will require things like a diagnosis. So you're going to have to line up, get the diagnosis. Sometimes you'll have to get, which won't be from the BCBA, it'll be from a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a developmental pediatrician. A neurologist can give a diagnosis and so on. Then you find the BCBA. You all have a few things to line up. So get your diagnosis and assessment, get the therapy underway, and then, get back in touch so we can talk to you about making sure the therapy is good. But as you do all this, and that of course will change your life and your son's life, right? Your son will start to acquire skills, things will become a lot easier. if you don't do this now, things will become harder. Let me just say that, because, and I don't want to scare you, I just want to be very honest with you. It's not about him being happy. It is about him being functional enough to engage in real life with his peers and gain happiness there. And if you don't teach him, if the ABA people don't teach him the right skills right now, later on, he'll become more frustrated. You know how he might cry right now because he wants something and he doesn't have access to it? Later on, it'll become more and more and more frustration on his behalf, unless he has learned the skills and he knows that crying, tantruming, screaming, all that doesn't work. Talking, communicating does work. And so it's very important for him right now to learn the appropriate form of communication and everything else. He's only 2.5. He's got a very good chance of doing extremely well in an ABA program. So please do that. Last word of advice, 2 things. As you're doing all of this, tell your husband everything you just said to us, because this is all about a partnership and no single person can handle this. It's just too much. You need support. So share with your husband and ask for more support from him as well. And the last word of advice is, please don't forget the 10-year-old. I know that you're just trying your best to take care of both of their needs, but a lot of times what I see is that the older siblings, because they're easier and because they don't have issues, get 0 time. So make sure, because you're still influencing his life as well, make sure that you have quiet time that you set aside for him. And again, I've now given you a whole bunch of homework, which means you need to start with your support system first.
And I just want to say, Samantha just told me in my ear that Crystal Shepard has written in and said, I don't know what we would have done without you. And that kind of parlays into the next thing that I want to say is that this very easily, what you wrote, I'm so emotional because this, except for the 10-year-old, this was me.
Yeah.
My son was 2.5. And I just want to say to you that feeling of I'm failing and I don't, and I'm exhausted already. And I know that there's a bunch that I got to do in that. I used to look up overwhelmed in the dictionary because that was like the tape that played in my head. I'm overwhelmed. And then I was like, I better look it up and know what it is I'm saying to myself, right? So I want to say to you, sister friend, step into the arms, step into the fold. And, Crystal Shepard was the one who told me about CARD. So, it's this chain of love that is surrounding you of women who have been there and done it. And I want to tell you on behalf of myself and on behalf of Crystal, you're going to be okay. That what you're feeling, it's just right on the money and you will be okay. We felt it and we got through it. And you're going to hold hands with all of us. You know what I like to say on the show? Si se puede, right? We can do this. And so, hang on. And I love all the advice that Dr. Grant Pichet gave. But know that you are in more people's arms than you are aware of right now. And that it's going to be okay. There's a whole bunch of action that you're going to have to take, and that seems overwhelming right now. But the truth of the matter is that once you start taking the action, you will feel better. Your child will start to get better, and you will see all the possibilities and the hope. That's what I want to inject into you right now. The hope of there's going to be a day when your shoes will sit underneath your table and you will sit across from somebody and say, wow, I can't believe we did that and we got through that. That day is coming. I'm promising it to you.
Yeah.
Like it's coming. Feel that from us. So, and you reached out. That's awesome. Feel free to reach out. I say to all of you, you can email me directly at s.penrod, PENROD @autism-live.com. We all have felt alone at some point on this journey, and none of us really are alone. It's just one email away, one phone call away, right? There are people, and let's help to connect you. Hopefully you've got that network of people to choose from, and if you don't worry, we're going to find one for you. All right, I'm all verklempt, but it's going to be okay. It will.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a scary experience you're going through right now, and there's so much fear that we experience, and that makes us worry more even because we think like, I can't do this. Oh, yeah. You can do this. You can do this, and not only can you do this, but we will help you do this. There are people out there who care about you and will help you do this. Your son's going to do well. He's going to get through this as well. And remember one thing, we never are given challenges unless we can succeed them and overcome them. And you will overcome this, and you will get to a higher level, as Shannon said, where you will look back and you'll be like, wow, what did we just, like, I can't believe what we did.
And it'll feel like a privilege too, like,
Absolutely.
wow, what
It
an
is a
incredible
privilege.
that I just went through this with my family. I'm glad that you've got a great husband. Boy, that's in your corner. And I also want to tell you that feeling of, oh, I can't, it's okay that you have that, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. I tell people very honestly that in the beginning days, once I understood what we were facing and how much it was going to take,
right.
Once I really knew that, my inner thought was, there was a day that I was like, I hope I get into a car accident and that I don't die, but I'd like to be put into a coma for the next 5 years, and that they wake me up when it's all over and they go, oh, we went through the ABA and everything's fine. That's how I felt, right?
Gosh.
And yet I was able to walk through it day by day. It wasn't easy, not going to candy coat that, but I always say to people, look, if I can do it, I know you can, and I'll be in your corner. I'll put a cheerleader costume on, and that's saying a lot. Mm-hmm. I'll be your cheerleader. Anyway, so feel the love and keep reaching out, but hang on, it's going to be okay. But let's get the help started. Once the action starts, that'll be good. Let's take a break. I need to mop down, and then I do want to say before we go to break that Mom wrote in and said, hi, Dr. Doreen and Shannon. I wrote a follow-up question about my daughter last week, the 15-year-old who has difficulty inhibiting her impulses with the opposite sex. Would you be able to answer that today? I would love to hear what Dr. Doreen has to say, and thank you. And I just want you to know, I got you, girl. It's number one here on the list. So
okay,
we're doing that right after the break. Stick with us.
Arts and craft activities are a great way to practice on skills you're already working on with your child. For the month of November, we'll be making a paper corn. The skill we're going to be focusing on with this activity is fine motor, more specifically the pincher grasp. You'll see why in just a moment. Depending on the skill level of your child, you can also have them help you fold the paper, trace the silhouette of the corn, or cut it out. It all depends on what you want to be focusing on today. The materials you'll be needing are paper, tissue paper, a pencil, glue, and a cup of water and paintbrush if you're using the wet glue, scissors, and a template you can download from our website at facebook.com/autism-live. And don't forget to like us while you're there. Or you can always just draw it from your imagination. All right, let's start the activity. First I want to do is take my tissue paper I bought from the store and turn it into strips that I can then turn into squares. Again, they don't need to be perfect squares because we're going to be changing its form anyways in the end. All right. And as you can see, I've done it to several different colors. I cheated, and they're all right here for me to use. All right, the next thing we want to do is to make the shape that we're going to be gluing all the kernels onto. I have my template that I already downloaded from facebook.com/autism-live, and now I'm going to use this to make the form that we're going to be gluing onto. I'm going to take one of my pieces of paper, I'm going to fold it in half. This way the corn will be symmetrical. Once it's been folded in half, I'm going to take my form and then I'm going to trace around it. And again, depending on your child's skill level, either you can do it or the child can do it. But again, the focus of this activity is the pincher grasp. All right, now that I have it traced, I'm going to cut it out. And ta-da! Here is my blank corn, but it's missing its kernels. So now that's what we're going to be working on. I'm going to use this glue, but you can always use a glue stick as well. The reason why I like this one is that it doesn't dry as fast. So I'm going to squeeze it all over my corn and then take my paintbrush, dip it in some water, and then smear it all over the corn. The next step is making the kernels. What your child is going to do is take one of the tissue squares and practice their pincher grasp. squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And once they have this, then they're gonna place it onto the corn. And as you can see, it's got a lot of surface area to cover with these kernels, so lots of opportunities to practice their pincher grasp. And ta-da, it's done. As you can see, lots of opportunity to practice your child's pincher grasp. When you're finished, don't forget to share your pictures online at facebook.com/autism-live. I look forward to seeing them and see you soon. Bye.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live and to Ask Dr. Doreen. We're here with Dr. Doreen Grant-Pichet, and she's answering your questions in real time. We had a question a couple of weeks ago about a 15-year-old girl with some issues of wanting to be around boys and asking them to kiss her. She wrote in with a follow-up. It says, "Hi, Shannon and Dr. Doreen. This is the mother of the 15-year-old girl that I wrote about last week. Thank you for responding to my question. But I would like some further clarification on what else I can be doing at home when these situations occur. As I mentioned, my daughter can answer questions about what she should not do with boys. I'm pretty sure that she is doing this to get attention." Did I skip a line?
No,
I'm pretty sure that she is doing this to get attention from boys. She says she wants a boyfriend, she wants a boy to tell her she's beautiful, etc. At home, we're teaching her about what it takes to maintain friendships and eventually relationships. But when she's still being impulsive at school, telling a boy to kiss her, asking boys to come home with her, what should I do? Further, legally, what can I ask from the district, from the school district, and how should I consequate these actions when she gets home? Because this is the mom that's getting the notices from the school. I love it when schools go, by the way, your child did this at school, as if we're Miss Incredible, the mom and the Miss. I always think of, she's got those arms that can stretch way past her, as if I can be home or at work and my arms can make it to school and go, don't do that to my child.
I know.
Frustrating.
I know.
So, okay.
It's very hard to answer this because I know nothing about her functioning level. So let me ask you a couple of questions first, and then I'll try to give some feedback. So my first question is, what is her functioning level? In other words, does she when you say that you're practicing stuff at home, like, first of all, just tell me, does she have a diagnosis of autism or ASD? Does she have a diagnosis of Asperger's? If she has a diagnosis of ASD, is it very high functioning? And when you say school, is it a regular ed school? Is it a special ed program? Is she in all regular ed classes? What grade level is she? Does she have girlfriends? There's a lot of stuff I need to know before I can kind of give you some more guidance, because my thoughts are, is she capable, let's say, of, if you were to list a series of things that are just, can she read well enough where you would list a series of things that say, I cannot say and I can say. So these are the things I can't say, and these are the things I'm allowed to say. And so then in the list of things that I can't say are kiss me, come home with me, stuff like that. I can't say these to boys. And then on the right side would be all the things that I can say right now, like, what did you think about this class? What's your favorite TV show? Whatever it is that's appropriate. I mean, if that's the level she's at, that's what you need to give her right now until later, when she realizes, because there's like one activity we have which is called levels of friendship, and it starts with what's an acquaintance, what's a stranger, what is an acquaintance, what is a friend, what's a best friend, and so on and so forth. And you identify all the behaviors that you have with each level. So for instance, if it's an acquaintance or if it's a stranger, I generally won't talk to them. If they talk to me, these are the types of answers I give them, very clear visual, not things that require mental thought, just behavior. You're dealing with writing out very specific things. Don't have her reason it out. It's just, these are the people, let's classify. Strangers, like people I've never talked to before, people I don't know, I don't recognize, I don't know what their name is. These are the things I'm allowed to say to them. These are the settings I might see them in, et cetera, et cetera. And then acquaintances. Acquaintances would include like all the boys and girls in school who I don't personally know very well, which means I might know their name, but I've never really spent a lot of time with them. So define what that means. What is an acquaintance? And then specifically write out for her, these are the things you're not allowed to do or say with those people. This is what you're allowed to do or say. You are allowed to, for instance, walk with someone to the next class. You're allowed to ask them how their weekend was. You're allowed to so on. But you cannot ask them to do something private, and you have to list what they are. Like, you can't ask them to come hold your hand. You can't ask them to kiss you. You can't ask them to come home with you, whatever her behaviors are. And then when you get to friend, you redefine and say, how does an acquaintance become a friend? So a friend is someone whose name you know, but they've hung out with you, they've shared interests with you, and you have to be very specific as you do these so she really understands who this person is, who these people are, and then you will help her by listing the names of all the people that are in this group. And then she knows with these people, this is the behavior that's okay, and this is the behavior that's not okay, and so on. And so, like, if she's not able to reason it out, and if she can't tell that it's inappropriate, the social level of approach is inappropriate, it's because of those things. It's because she doesn't realize this is an acquaintance, this is inappropriate for me to go up to this person and say something like that. And ultimately, who do you actually say something like give me a kiss or come home with me is a boyfriend or a very intimate friend, like a best friend or something like that. And then so you have to define all that for her, because she clearly is not seeing those boundaries. And what you're doing is you're defining the boundaries and then telling her exactly what is and isn't okay for each level of acquaintance.
So that's the first part of the question about things that you can be working on at home with your ABA team. The next part is legally, what can you ask from the district? And I would think that this all comes under the heading of the ITP, the Individual Transition Plan. And she's 15, so they should already be putting an ITP in process. And that they need to get them to write in these kinds of programs into the ITP.
Absolutely. And they should actually, so this is the thing with consequences. Shannon is so right. The districts will tell you, oh, this is something happened at school, as if you can deal with it at night, 10 hours later. Consequences, negative consequences in particular, have to take place as soon as possible. If you're doing a negative consequence 6 hours later, then it better be visually documented. In other words, it better be a token system that actually shows her. Because if she comes home and then you're sitting there and saying, I heard that today, this morning, or yesterday, you asked a boy to do something, there's no connection from what happened and what you're dealing with right then and there. That is not going to connect for her. That's a long-term consequence for her, and it's not going to work. So what has to happen is the moment that she goes up to a boy and says, I want you to kiss me, someone, which means the school might have to actually give her an aide, someone needs to be there to watch her and to be able to go up and say, that was one of the things you were not allowed to say. I'm going to have to give you a sad face on your token system. There has to be a visual system in place so she sees it, that she's doing well, or she didn't do these things, or they're getting sad faces where it shows, or an X or whatever that indicates, oh, you did something you weren't supposed to do. Then when she comes home at night, if she has numerous sad faces or even one sad face, then you can consecrate it and say, oh, I'm sorry, honey, but I see you have a sad face. I'm going to have to, I can't give you dessert tonight, or I can't, whatever it is. And then that, whatever the actual consequence is, has to tie in to the token. And that's a very important thing. Not only does it have to tie in as an immediate exchange or some sort of exchange, but in value it has to tie in. So, for instance, if there's one sad face, she loses one small thing. If there's 5, she loses a bigger thing. The value has to tie in. So those are very important things, and your school should have a BCBA on staff, or consulting who can set up a very good token economy for her. But that's how it works. It's not like you're expected to deal with it at home.
Okay, let me ask you this though. So this is a response cost, right? When they were going to take something away, if
Could
she,
be.
And
there's a million consequences.
And I find that parents are always looking for that because because it feels like a punishment thing, and we've all been taught, well, they have to lose something for it. But I'm confused always about this with ABA. Would there also be the potential for giving her, every time she does something on that list appropriately,
100%.
giving her a smiley face so that we're encouraging the good behavior with the right
Absolutely.
people, and that there's some, that a certain number of smiley faces and she gets something, and if she amasses a bunch over a week, then she gets something huge.
Absolutely. So all token economies, to be effective, have to have both sides. So
Okay.
response cost on its own is a response cost. Token economies have both sides. So they have it's that token economies are money.
Right.
It's like money. If you have enough money, you can buy a bunch of good stuff. If you don't have enough money, you lose things that you wanted to buy. That's essentially what it is. Those tokens are like money. If she comes in and she's receiving really good happy faces instead of sad faces, yeah, absolutely, she has to get also equal value.
Okay.
So if she has one happy face and she has 3 sad faces, then the net result is 2 sad faces, and basically she's not going to get that reinforcer that day. But if she has, a higher level of happy faces, undoubtedly, and most important, that's what actually makes the whole thing work, is the positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
So response cost on its own is effective, but when you have a positive reinforcement and the child is working towards something that they really want. So that's why it would be better if there's a BCBA involved, because they can actually set up something that works in terms of they'd have to do a reinforcement inventory and assess what are the things that are important to her. For example, let's say she's really into boys right now. It might be a really fun thing for her if she was allowed to go to a dance that's coming up, or if she was able to watch a romantic movie, or whatever it is. But those are the big rewards that come if she can regulate her own behavior. And let me tell you right off, because this has to do with regulating her own behavior, there is nothing you can do about it unless there's someone there. You're not there. You don't know what's going on. So hearing about it after the fact is just ridiculous. Like, it does not allow you to intervene or do anything. Thinking that you could have a conversation with her and fix this is also not, that's the school throwing their responsibility on you. They need to have more assistance in there. They need to have someone in there. Or maybe the school isn't, but you have insurance and you have an ABA team, and this is where the ABA team should be intervening in school, because they're not teaching her academics. They are teaching her appropriate behavior, which allows her to go to school. And if someone doesn't intervene with this right now, she's not going to be able to access school. So
Okay.
It's very important.
Very important. And I want to say, too, not to sound negative, but even my experience, even when there is a BCBA sometimes at the school, they're not always the best BCBA. You know what I'm saying?
It's not even that. It's always that they have just so much on
They
their
might be
plate.
overloaded.
They're overloaded, right?
All right. I think that might be the case. But sometimes the BCBA is not a good BCBA.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. In my experience. But if you get it written into the ITP that they have to work on this, or you get it written into I think you're going to have an easier time getting it into the ITP than the IEP, then they have to work on it. And then it gives you some latitude to go in and say, I'm going to give a reinforcer at home. You just run the token economy, which is a way, and you'll also have a way of taking the data on it. But from what I have seen, that if we think for a second, the example of the tiger mom who, punish her kids into doing whatever,
Right, no.
that what happens is that at a certain point, the minute the kids are away from that parent, they're going to do whatever it is that they want to do.
Absolutely.
If we truly want to change behavior and have them truly self-regulate, I think that comes through more, as you were saying, the positive reinforcement, reinforcing her heavily every time she behaves properly with a boy is
Absolutely.
your insurance policy for when you're not there down the road.
Definitely true. And it's about, I always give the example of the following. For ABA to be effective, you start with little demand, high reinforcer, and then you gradually reduce the reinforcers and increase the demands to the point where it becomes like real life. Now, keep in mind that for a 15-year-old, well, it depends. I mean, already by 15, there's so much stress in kids' lives. But nevertheless, a 15-year-old has more reinforcers in life probably than we do. That, like, say you do. You have so much more going on in your life, and your maximum reinforcer is, most of it is internal, right? But for kids, for little kids, they have reinforcers all day long. They eat candy, they play, etc. And as you age, your reinforcer level goes lower and lower and lower, and your demand level goes higher and higher. That's just resilience, we learn. But with our kids, they need a higher level of reinforcer. And absolutely they do. They need that reinforcement in place, and they also need to have you gradually increase their self-regulation, the rules, because otherwise they'd never be able to survive.
Okay, we've got so many other questions coming in, and a lot of things coming in about the mom that we talked about at the top of the show. She wrote back and said, "Thank you for all your suggestions. I know I have to take time for myself to renew my sanity. What's making this whole process so difficult is that my insurance will not cover ABA." She's in Florida. She says funding is the problem. So I think you should email me and let's start looking at different, because she might be eligible for, they have Medicaid.
Yeah, we have Medicaid
Florida.
in Florida, and it's really, really good. So where you are in Florida, let Shannon know so that we can start talking
She's
to
already
you.
told me that she's in Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood is on the right side. It's on near Miami. So we need to figure out what's out there for you.
Okay.
And if you write to Shannon a little bit more detail, Shannon, we should ask John, because we're starting to develop Florida, by the way, just so you know. We are already, we are in Boca Raton. And that's not far from Hollywood, but we want to start talking to you and trying to see how we can help.
Okay.
And also, can I just go back quickly for that mom? I don't want you to think about, like, do the specific things I said. Don't just think, I know I have to like get support. I have to take time off for myself. Start by finding your surrogate helpers. Just really do that, because although you might not think that it's important, it's really important to have the other people who can step in so that you can actually have time for yourself. Because most of us as moms, we feel guilty about enjoying life when our kids are having a hard time. And we just keep loading it on ourselves and keep thinking, hey, I can do this, I'm strong enough, I'll carry the load. And you can't carry this load. Like, let me just tell you, you shouldn't be carrying this load alone. So please get someone else in there, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you have to do it. That's the way to succeed. This is just, think of it as a heavy weight. You can't pick it up alone. Someone needs to hold one side of it. That's all it is.
Yep. I totally agree. I want to go to this next question that somebody wrote in. They said, "Hi, Shannon and Dr. Doreen. First, tell that mom she's not alone."
Yes.
This mom goes on to say, we are dedicated skills users, and recently my son, who is 9, has started biting himself when he gets upset. It's happened about 4 times, and I'm terrified. And the "I am terrified" is all in caps with an exclamation point. I have seen the self-injurious kiddos, and I never knew how those parents deal. What is my first step? This is a new behavior, and I want to get it under control before it gets out of control. And she put "before" in caps. 3 times he has bitten his hand, and the last he dug his nails into himself. All have been when he was denied access to a preferred item. Don't you love how our parents use the jargon? I'm very proud of you. We all talk like mini BCBAs now. He was denied access to a preferred item.
I love it.
So we've gone to the dark side. Okay. But in any case, that is what happened. Okay, so what can we tell this mom? And I just want to say, here's a mom who's terrified, and she took time to tell the other mom, you're not alone.
Right.
That's how this works.
I love you. That's awesome.
Yes.
So a couple of things. I don't know if this mom is listening right now or watching right now, but if you are, you can maybe answer these questions as well. So what happened when he bit himself? First of all, how bad was it? Like, in other words, did he actually cut in and it started bleeding? That's my first question. How bad was it? And secondly, what did you do? Did you back off? Did you give him access? What happened? Because this is not really the self-injurious behavior that you should be afraid of. The self-injurious behavior, there's always this thing in autism where, because I'm old in this field, I can give you some little tidbits so that you're not worried at all. Self-injurious behavior, and when we first started seeing self-injurious behavior 30, 40 years ago, that was a very, very different self-injurious behavior. So when parents tell me about self-injurious behavior, the first thing I ask them is, does he do it when he's completely alone and having a good time? Or does he do it when a demand is placed or access to something is denied? And if it is the case where a demand is placed and access is denied, then that's not something to worry about at all. Because this is simply the child trying to freak you out. That's it. They're angry, they want something, you're not giving it to me, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you to give it to me. And what that starts with is I'm going to scream and cry, and if you ignore that, I'm going to just bite my hand, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do whatever it is because I'm really angry and I don't know how else I can get you to understand how angry I am and I want that thing. So the first thing you do is you do not give the preferred item. I want to be really clear about that. When the child tantrums like this or does self-injurious behavior, you don't give in. You do not give in. Don't give the preferred item. So now you're saying, oh my God, but he's going to injure himself and all this sort of stuff. So first of all, he will not injure himself. He will do it in order to scare you. So if it has already gotten to that point, but in a minute, I'm going to tell you some pointers that will hopefully prevent it from getting to that point.
I just want to tell you, she says, no, I do not give him access to it. It scared me, and I told him to calm down and use his words and tell me what was wrong and what he needed.
That's so awesome. I love that. That's fantastic. Good job. Now, the issue here is...
She also said it just left a mark, so no blood was drawn.
Great. So don't worry about it. It's not going to get worse. So the problem is, if he has now tantrumed and done that sort of self-injurious behavior, and now you ask him, what do you want? Use your words. He's going to ask for that object, right? And then he's going to get the object. That's fine, except it would be better if he didn't do the aggressive behavior first. So here's what I want to tell you. We want to try to do everything we can do. What you've done is great, first of all. I'm very proud of you for not giving him what I would do is I would just remove the preferred item completely from the possibilities right then and there, so that in the future, if he wants it, he just asks for it. But he can't tantrum, aggress, be prompted, then ask for it. Because now what you're doing is you're rewarding that sequence. That next time, again, he'll aggress, you'll say, what do you want? He'll use his words, he'll get the... That's not what we want. What we want is for him to use his words from the get-go, right? So what we have to work on is that. We have to work on... You have to identify, if you can, signs of frustration. So if you can start to see that he's starting to get frustrated, break down the sessions so that he gets more reinforcers before aggressive behavior happens, okay? Very simple. So reduce the demands. Like I've done things like reducing the lesson difficulty, going to easier lessons, whatever you have to do. Reduce demands, increase reinforcers before bad things happen. Now, if you see things escalating, you can also then prompt more. So you can, before the aggression begins, you can start making it easier by prompting, getting him to ask for things then. Because if he asks for a break or a reinforcer before he's done this or aggressed towards himself, give it to him. Sure, go for it. Give him reinforcers and allow him to like calm down and all that sort of stuff, right? But the bigger issue here is that what most likely happens with a lot of our kids is that we tell them they can't have something right then. Like we'll tell them, you can have it in 5 minutes, and they have no concept of time. Most of the time I find with my kids, no matter what age they are, their aggression and their frustration is because they don't understand that it's coming. It's just, we're just not there yet. You'll get it in 1 minute. You'll get it in 5 minutes. You'll get it tonight. They don't get the concept that it is eventually coming. So you need to kind of put it on some sort of visual thing for him. And I don't, did she say how old the child is or
I
any
don't
function?
think we did hear.
There's
how
a lot
old.
of different ways you can do visual schedules, like for instance, or visual anything.
Nine. He's 9.
So like you can do a lot of different things. For instance, you can list the activities and then the rewards. So you can show him on a visual, we have to do this thing, then you'll get this reward, this thing, then you get this reward, and then after we've done 3 things, you'll get the bigger reward. And you can use pictures, you could use words, whatever his capability is, so that he knows his schedule. Another thing you can do, ask him at the beginning of every lesson, what are you working for? What would you like to work for? Put 3 things out and have him choose. So he always knows the thing that he's working for. He chooses his reinforcer, now you hold it, you put it over here and you do the thing, and then you give it to him. And that could be a sit-down lesson or anything during the day. You can also, during the day, have him identify his reinforcers and then visually let him know when he's about to get them. Anything that is of a time type schedule will help him. There's a lot of apps if you look online also for time schedules and things for kids with autism that helps them, like under timers, like little visual things of like a like a line that's reducing in time so you know that you're about to receive your reward, those types of things. Anything that allows him to understand when the reward is coming is great. But essentially, you're doing it right. Deny access to the preferred item if he already does something like aggress, and try to just give him more of preferred items more frequently prior to aggressing.
She says he gets upset when he loses on a game, when he has screen time, and that is normally when I step in and take the device away because previous he was warned if he is going to play and get upset, then he will have to take a break.
That's awesome. So losing on a game is a more complex skill. It's a more of a cognitive skill, and that's something that you can actually find that lesson. It's called Winning and Losing. It's a specific lesson on skills that talks about teaching the child how to accept failure. But it is a very cognitive based lesson, so it's for kind of kids have to be at a certain level of functioning to understand the concept of losing. Otherwise, and you're right in that you're trying to teach it to him cognitively so he understands it's okay to lose. One of the things I do, by the way, with my kids is that I will lose and I will be like, that's upsetting, but what can I do? So I'll think out loud. I'll be like, what can I do right now to maybe I can just ask for something. Hey mom, I'm pretty upset. Can I get something else? That kind. So you can model behavior for him if his functioning level is there. If it's not, what you're doing is absolutely right. You're not reinforcing the inappropriate behavior and you are reinforcing him asking.
She says, yes, we do that with him already, so I'm glad to know we're on the same page.
You're
he
doing
understands working for his reward.
That's wonderful, wonderful, good job.
I'm so excited to be here and like be part of the conversation with you guys. You guys are in tune.
Yeah, I love that it's live.
Okay. Well, so moving forward, you'll let us know how things go, and I'm glad that because you know that when they hurt themselves, it's very
horrible.
Scares us. It
But you
scares
know,
us.
the old SIB, the self-injurious behavior that it really is scary, is the one that occurs when no demands are placed.
Yeah.
And
that's not what you're looking at
No,
here.
not
So
at
that's
all.
a good thing. Okay. I had a couple of questions that I wanted to get to really quickly because we've got
Sure,
6
sure.
minutes. Okay. Hello, Dr. Doreen and Mrs. Shannon. This is from India. My child with PDD-NOS answers intraverbal questions orally, but she's finding it very difficult to write the same answers. She just acts confused. Please suggest. It's becoming very frustrating for both of us, and thank you for everything.
So this is could be a very simple thing. You need to really have her vision checked out first of all to make sure that she's not having visual issues. I would also maybe have her tested for dyslexia. Sometimes our kids have a hard time with just transposition of letters. So it's very unusual to have a child respond appropriately verbally and have a hard time writing it. So there's something else going on. It is not the case that there's definitely something else. So there's either a visual problem, or something having to do with letters and being able to, dyslexia type behaviors.
It's a growing field. We've had a doctor on the show talking about all the different things visually that can go on, and
Absolutely.
and sometimes it's a fairly simple fix. We know with kids with dyslexia now that there are different sheets of film that they can give them to overlay, and it takes care of it.
It's
there
amazing.
are glasses that they can put on and adjust them a certain way that
it'll change our life.
Amazing.
Look at this as a very cool thing, because it's kind of a red flag that allows you to start investigating some of those other things. There are neuropsych tests that show kids are reversing things visually for themselves, so that would be very important for you to look into.
Okay, we got a YouTube question came in, but we had an email that came in that I want to get to from Northern Ireland. The mom who had written us about a lot of meds that her son was on.
Yes.
And so this is the follow-up. She says, "Hi, Shannon and Dr. Doreen. My son is 12 years old, has autism, ADHD, and learning difficulties. We've withdrawn him from his stimulant ADHD medicine, which you had said, as they were causing him to have a very high level of anxiety. He has become more able to express his emotions and wants to interact with peers. At times, the thought of a social situation can be too much for him, and he will say to me that he does not want to go so he doesn't hurt anybody. When he was younger, we had a lot of hitting out at others and at times struggled to understand why, but now I can see this was possibly his way of getting out of a situation. I'm worried that now he's getting older and stronger, that things are going to get very difficult if the lashing out at other people happens in public. I feel at a loss for how to deal with this. I would really appreciate any advice you can give."
Right. So he hasn't really lashed out at anyone yet, but he's used it as an excuse to avoid a social situation. So I don't think you need to worry about the lashing out unless you force him into a very uncomfortable situation. I think what you need to be focusing on is teaching him how to do better in social situations that cause him anxiety. So there's a lot of, I don't know if you are on skills, but there's a lot of stuff, I think, in the inhibition section of our executive functioning that might help you in our executive functioning curriculum. This is really about the anxiety and the fact that he's experiencing a little bit of the anxiety now, or still has social anxiety. It's just social anxiety. So there's a lot of stuff you can do to teach him those things, but it requires, 12. What it requires is the opportunity to practice scenarios with him. So, and he's very, very high functioning, and so you'll have to make them as real as possible. And essentially what it is things like this. So you'll have one other child that could potentially be a friend, and then you will do a bunch of really fun activities with him and this one other person. Then he'll begin to feel very safe with this other person. When he has one buddy, the two of them together will be a much stronger unit, and it'll allow him to enter social activities as long as this other friend is there, and he will feel less anxious. If he's less anxious, I doubt very much that he would lash out at anyone or anything like that. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to basically avoid the social situations that make him anxious. So give him all sorts of tools for that. A buddy is a good thing. Start working on that concept. Like, what are you afraid of? What are the things? These are conversations you can have with other people. These are the things you can say. These are the things that will happen. But don't throw him into a unique situation where he might not know people. Don't expect that of him either. Like, really allow him somehow to establish one friendship. So if you're gonna try to get him into social activities, I would help him find what his interests are. I'll give you an example. I had a child who was very much like this, and his only interest, he had kind of self-isolated, and his interest was now playing games on his iPad, which is no problem. So what we did is we set up these kind of like Minecraft or whatever it was that he was into, but with a partner, with someone else. And so he started playing online with these other kids that we knew, and they all became friends. And now he had a friend, and then they physically started going to places together. So you have to enter his world establish a one-to-one friendship with someone so that he feels stronger and more secure in himself. And then, trust me, he'll start opening up his world more.
Yeah. We've got so many questions that have just come in on YouTube, and I'm going to apologize to you guys because we just don't have time for them, but hopefully we'll be able to get to some of these next week. And I want to encourage people right in earlier in the hour, although we had so many questions today, we couldn't possibly have gotten to all of them. So I apologize from the bottom of my feet, and I thank you so much for being with us for this
and I
hour.
am here the next few weeks, so
Okay.
hopefully we'll catch up.
Fabulous. I want to tell you guys that we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, it's time for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Our special guest today is Matt Asner, and he is coming to us from the Autism Society of America, and we're going to talk about this wonderful event that he's got coming up on December 2nd, a concert with Cheap Trick that you're going to want to know about. And we have a very personal tie to this concert that we can't wait to tell you about. So stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast. I say Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Everybody around is so down with Jack.
Okay, Jack Riley, can you tell me? When you're calm and nice, that makes everybody happy. And what are the pictures in this one?
Not calm, mean.
Mean. And when you're not calm and you're mean, that makes everybody sad. And when you're calm and nice to Lainey, you get to have special stickers put on your day. And when you get enough stickers, you get to have what?
Cereal bar.
So with a lot of our kids, sometimes they have trouble dealing with certain situations or changes. Diana wanted us to do is write a social story about being nice to Lainey, things you can do with Lainey Grace besides push her. The results of it is he's happy, Lainey Grace is happy, mom and dad are happy. Therefore making him happy. And he gets the happy points on the chart. And we're supposed to write it in words that they understand. So it's pretty much we're going to be writing it together.
I made a sticker to play.
What should our story be called, Jack Riley? Should it be called Being Nice to Lainey Grace?
Yeah, that's the one you picked.
Or should it be called Lainey Grace, My Little Sister? What should it be called?
Lainey Grace and my little sister.
Okay, that's a good one. All right. What about your little sister? Do you love Lainey?
Yeah.
Okay. When she cries, how does that make you feel?
Sad.
Makes you feel sad. What are things you can do to make Lainey happy again?
Kiss her.
Kiss her? Okay. That's a good one. So when Lainey cries, it makes me sad. I can give her... Let's read it together, okay?
Lainey Grace is my little sister. I love her very much. Lainey Grace.
Does that sound like a good story?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. You walked by Lainey doing a nice job. High five. Let's go put on a happy point. Woo! Let's
Way
go
to go.
do it.
That was a happy point, buddy.
Okay, happy point. Yeah.
Woo!
Happy point. Oh, this way.
So what the heck is a happy point?
A happy point is we've decided that Jack's aggressiveness with his sister is not being curbed by punishment. So we decided to really try to catch him being good, and that is where the happy point derives from. Good point here. Good example.
Good being nice.
That's a happy point. I don't even need to explain much more, do I? Well, so we're trying to teach him the good behavior, and you can't ignore the bad behavior. Like when he's aggressive with me, I try to ignore it so he doesn't get attention from it. But with her, obviously, she can be injured. So we're trying to curb that by making him feel really good when he's not aggressive towards her. And I think we're having a little success, and I think we need patience because it's going to be gradual. But you just saw a good example of what we're hoping will happen more, and then eventually less.
So he earned his cereal bar.
He earned a cereal bar! Good God! Can I leave now? I gotta get my son a cereal bar. Okay.
I am Alexis Weinman at the Future Horizons Super Conference in Dallas, Texas. It helped me in a way because it was a format that I was not used to. Like, I had never curled my hair before. I've never worn heels. I didn't know what foundation was. And it was just, it was a very, like, it helped me more in a business sense. Like, I know how to present myself in front of people now. That's something my mom drilled into my head. I have trouble sometimes with it. Like, you introduced yourself to me downstairs, and so I immediately and I've heard of you before, so I was like, I know this person, I can make eye contact with this person. And if I'm talking to someone I don't know, or if I'm listening to someone give a speech, most of the time my head will be down. I don't look at people in the eye, but if it's someone I know I need to make eye contact with, I make eye contact. But my mom growing up, she especially after the diagnosis, she would always grab my hand if I was looking everywhere else but her, and she'd say, look me in the eye. And so she wouldn't let go of my hand until I looked her in the eye. I do feel like I have to play poet because, sometimes there'll be jokes I don't understand, but I'll laugh at anyway. There will be situations that I'm not comfortable with, but I'm gonna have to play along anyway. And I think I just found out I'm just a tremendously amazing liar. I can pretend like I'm uncomfortable with something when in actuality I am screaming inside, or I know the moment I get back to my dorm room I'm going to start screaming or having a meltdown or something like that. But I also know that there is a time and a place because there isn't any safe rooms available in neurotypical society. We have to make our own. And, on a college campus, there's not many places you can go and scream without attracting attention. The way I explain it to people is, people's brains like hamster wheels. Eventually, the hamster's got to take a break. Autistic brains aren't like that. They just keep going and going and going. So we can't stop thinking about things. That's why a lot of kids with autism have sleep problems, because they can't fall asleep because they have too much on their brain. They can't sleep because they're thinking too much. And I think just the walking in circles, there's no thought to a circle. It's just so I'll just plug in my earphones so I can't hear anything else except whatever white noise I'm listening to, and I'll just walk in a circle. I think it's just we are just as prevalent as men with autism. There might not be as many as there are boys, but we are still part of this movement. We're still part of this community, and we just got to remind people that, hey, we're here too. Don't forget about us. One thing I've learned is that, first off, I'm not the only person who is speaking from their own perspective. I feel like I go to some of these conferences and it's a bunch of doctors and a bunch of parents who want to talk and get to know what autism is about, but there's not a lot of people on the spectrum talking about it. And so I come to these and I see Temple Grandin, who's one of the biggest faces in the autism community, actually get up and talk about what helped her and what we need to do in order to get our kids part of society and not in our parents' basements. And so it's just kind of reaffirming, I'm not the only one. Thank you. Because I'd go to these and I would be the only one. I'd be next to a bunch of doctors and talking about worlds I have not even seen before, let alone pronounce. And I'm just sitting here I did a pageant once. So it's good to know I'm speaking from a perspective of not necessarily overcoming, but learning to live with this, because I feel like not a lot of people come out and say what it's like to live on the autism spectrum. A lot of people talk about the struggles and everything like that, but they don't talk about, you know, what they've done to make their lives better while living on the spectrum.
And
Here
look who
we
we
are.
found. We
Yes.
took a little bit longer.
Walking down the hall.
Walking down the hall,
grabbed
wandering,
you.
loitering.
Hooked you in.
You
I
hooked
didn't
me
even
in.
get a chance to offer you hot chocolate.
It's all right. I brought my own coffee.
I see that. We're
So
doing a
we're all
plug
good.
for
For
people.
Starbucks.
without, no, it's okay. No, I mean, we'll say to them, hey, Starbucks, you should sponsor.
Yeah, they
right?
should.
They should.
They should. They should step in.
Should they?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on, let's be real.
I think they should.
For those of you who don't know Matt, I don't know where you've been. I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, but Matt is
Rock.
He is a rock. You are a rock.
Well, we're talking about rock too later. So
Yes, we are talking about rock,
Yeah.
and you're an amazing person in your own right. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
start with that because I think I launch into all the other things that you are. But you're also an autism brother,
I
an
am.
autism dad,
Yes.
an autism stepdad,
That's true.
and a pretty incredible individual. You are. What is your title with Autism Society of
Vice
America?
President of Development for Autism Society.
That's a pretty hefty title. And you've been tearing it up this last year for them, doing many, many
Doing the best,
important
yeah.
things. And so we're thrilled. And in a little while, we're going to talk with you about. We could just do that now and do news later. I don't know why I get so rigid sometimes. I'm like, Matt, we have to do the news
And I can
first.
hang for the
And you
news.
can hang
That's
for the
fine,
show.
but
You might have
let's.
Might have
You're
some
here.
kernels.
Yeah.
You're here. Let's talk with you now. So
All right.
you've been doing amazing things with Autism Society of America. I mean, I loved the Autfest, the film festival.
Yeah, and we'll have an announcement about Oddfest 2018 very soon.
Okay,
I can
good.
tell you it's probably going to be in the latter part of April.
Okay.
So you're going to be doing another one. The first one
oh,
was
yeah.
a big success.
Yes, and,
It was.
We're kind of planning the programming now, so
Okay.
it looks really interesting
Okay, good.
and fun.
But that's only one of the many things that you have done this year. You've done some really important events and some really fun events that shed a whole lot of light on the subject of autism for
Yeah.
all individuals. And that's really at the heart of the mission for Autism Society of America, that it's all individuals, that we're not just talking about the very youngest kids, but we're talking about the adults too, and everybody having a healthy, meaningful life. And when we say meaningful to them,
Exactly. Whatever that means.
whatever that means. And that's not going to look the same thing for any two people. And I think that that's a really important message. You had a wonderful conference that I did not get to. I cried many tears over
We
that.
missed you.
And I
Both
hope
of you.
I hope that I can come, because your new one for next year you're doing in DC, right?
Correct, yeah.
So that's already on my schedule, that I want to come to that one next summer.
That'll be a good one.
Yes.
A lot about advocacy on that one.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we had covered it very extensively here, the poker tournament
Poker
with your
tournament.
dad.
Yeah, you had a lot of great celebrities.
It was
and that, a lot
fun.
of
It was
good
No,
fun.
Matt, it was wild.
It was wild.
It was wild.
It was wild.
Anywhere your dad is gets wild.
There were a few other people there who were wild too, so you never know what's going to
yes.
happen at those things.
Oh my
right?
gosh! I mean, there were things we can't even talk about on camera that it got a little wild and woolly there.
Well,
for,
you showed it though. A lot of it.
Some of it we showed.
yeah.
Some of it we showed. Some of it we couldn't show.
Right.
I mean, it definitely got a little
that
woolly.
wild?
It got a little woolly.
Okay.
It got a little woolly.
It did.
But in amongst all that, there was a lot of really good fun.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of money got raised for autism, for Autism
Yeah, we were
Society
really
of America.
really excited about it, and I think next year is going to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
Good.
Probably do it. It'll be in September next year.
Okay.
We'll announce that
Wonderful.
very soon too.
Okay, so you have this new thing that's happening, and,
Yes.
I noticed you got a T-shirt on. So tell
I
us
do.
what the new thing is.
There it is.
What
Rock
does it
your
say?
speech.
Rock your
Your
speech. Wait, hold on.
Starbucks
There we
cup
go.
is.
Rock
Darn
your
that
speech,
Starbucks.
find
Find
your
your
voice.
voice.
Yes.
So we have teamed with Rock Your Speech, which is Tom and Allison Peterson's organization.
Okay.
And we are going to be doing the first Rock Your Speech concert on December 2nd at the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles, California. And it's going to feature incredible artists. Cheap Trick is going to be performing a full set.
Yeah.
And we have Red Cross, which is an amazing LA band. We have The Empty Hearts, which is a pop supergroup with members of Blondie and the Romantics and the Cars. We have Terry Nunn from Berlin. We have Jeanette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde. We have the Dandy Warhols. I mean, it's going to be a fiesta of music.
Great lineup. Now, refresh some of us on Cheap Trick, some of their hits.
Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me.
We were singing
I was singing that earlier.
Surrender.
Yes.
Dream Police.
Okay.
I mean, the Voices. I mean, Cheap Trick is probably one of the greatest bands out of the 70s and early 80s. And you know, what's great is, you know, this partnership. I got to Autism Society and knew that I wanted to do a concert with Autism Society. I'd done them before, and I wanted to do another one with Autism Society. And I knew that I needed the right people to be around me. And Tom Peterson and Allison Peterson, I can't tell you how wonderful they are.
Tell us about their organization.
Well, I mean, they're doing speech therapy. They're creating recordings and videos that can help and aid in speech therapy, music therapy. I'm sorry, music therapy. And they, you know, their main thrust was working with their own son, Liam. And Liam went from being, you know, nonverbal to speaking. You know, believe me, I can tell you, he speaks. I mean, he is a great kid and amazing. And so I knew that I really wanted to partner with someone like Tom and Allison. And we started talking, and it was just one thing led after the other. Their good friend Stacia Pratt is involved as well. And I couldn't ask for better partners in this incredible concert. So
it's a wonderful thing. I think a lot of people don't know that you have a music background.
Yeah, I do.
And that in lots of varied and different ways. But
you actually were a performer.
I was. I still do it every now and then. Yeah.
I have his CD.
Won't be doing it at Rock Your Speech, but I you know, I've been known to you know, sing here and there. I think you might have come.
No,
I sent you
like
something.
the 2 times. No, I have your CD.
That's right.
And it's fantastic.
You have a CD?
I do, yeah. It's available on iTunes.
It's fantastic, and you have to listen to it. I was amazed.
Band's Grand Manor, if anyone out there wants to check
What's
it
the name
out.
of the band?
Grand Manor.
I was amazed, and I was like, and you hear this singer with this very soulful voice, and I was like, what? That's Matt? I was like, what? You know, he's been hiding under a bushel. Yes, so really great CD. I'm putting in a plug for Grand Manor, and I have not gotten to see you guys play live. You've done it twice in the last couple of years, and both times one time I was out of town, and one time I had family in town. So
this is a band you were in years ago, and that you kept going.
It's funny. We were together in the '80s, and you know, Facebook's an amazing thing, isn't it? And we just started connecting through Facebook again, and we kind of ended for the wrong reasons in the '80s, and we just decided to get back together and kind of see, you know, it felt good, so we decided to play a few times. Then we hooked up with Bob DeMarco, and who you know, and Bob produced this EP that we released on iTunes.
It's hot. I just gotta say, it's hot, and there is an '80s feel to it.
Yeah, definitely reminiscent
so
of the '80s.
If you like '80s music, which I'm an '80s music baby, you will absolutely love it. But it also has an edge to it that it's like a fusion of '80s and I mean, I'm not good with musical terms, but you've got like this 80s feel, but there's also this sort of, my husband loves Tom Waits, and you've got sort of a Tom Waits
I've
feel
never
to
heard
you.
that before, but I'll take it. I like Tom Waits.
It's very, it's got that kind of, it's got an edge to it.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's really good. In any case, so we digress from that, but that's Grand Manor. That's the secret you didn't know about Matt. Yeah. But this fabulous event that's coming up, and you got a lot of surprises. I don't know what you're allowed to say.
I'm really not allowed to say that much. I mean, I told you the lineup, and for those out there that want to go check this out, you can go to rockyourspeechconcert.org and check it out there. You can buy tickets on Ticketmaster. There are VIP packages available. You can go to the website for that. And you know, it's really going to be an amazing night where there's a pre-show reception, post-show reception, and it's going to be great.
And what's the date again and the location one more time?
December 2nd at the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles. The show starts at 7. Pre-show starts at 5. Okay. Doors open at 6, and there's going to be some amazing merchandise. We're going to be announcing something in a couple of weeks that will allow people to take part in the concert in some way that aren't living in the city. So I'm not going to say much more about that, but maybe
was cryptic.
Maybe I'll come
Matt.
back on when that's announced, and
Well,
we can talk about it again.
You're always welcome to come on whenever to tell us your secrets. Did you get a chance to watch last week? Because Matt was scheduled to be on last week, but you were under the weather. Did you get on? Did you see when we were Sharon Adele, and what we said was that you were supposed to come, but I
didn't see that part.
As Adele, I said, but he's got the pukes. And I have no idea whether that was what was going on, but you were under the weather.
But it's okay. I'll take the pukes.
You saw our costumes last week.
I did. They were awesome.
You saw the pictures.
Every year this is a tradition now for us, as you know.
It would have cured me of what ailed me. So, if I had been here and taken part in that, I think I would have dressed up maybe.
Well,
we've had fun with our annual costumes.
You could have come in, get yourself a pair of sunglasses. You could have come in and been Bono.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
because
true.
we were being like super divas. You could have come in and been Bono.
Every year we've been some sort of super diva since dating back 5 years now.
Really?
We started with Lucy and Ethel.
I remember that one.
Yes.
Then we were the Queens.
The Queens.
Queen Elizabeth.
That was the original Queen Elizabeth first.
Both of you were Queen Elizabeth?
I was Queen Elizabeth the first. She was the current queen.
Oh.
Right. And
Corgi
it's good to
and
be the
all.
queen.
So you had the red wig?
She did
I had the
period.
red- I
We'll
did
get you a
period.
picture. You'll see.
I want to see that.
Then she was Martha Stewart, and I was Julia
Childs.
Childs.
Yeah.
And then last year she was Ellen, and I was Rosie
Ellen
O'Donnell.
Oh, there we go.
And then I got to
Rosie.
meet Rosie on your
and she might
red
have watched
carpet,
you because I know she watches you.
which was a thrill for me to hear, and it was so exciting that Samantha passed out on the red carpet.
That's another thing that happened at the poker tournament.
Yes. There was that level of excitement. There
Right.
were things, but and that was thrilling. I think that was probably the highlight of my year. And I got to go to NASA with Temple Grandin this year, but the highlight of my year was Rosie O'Donnell running towards me saying, "You're Autism Live. I watch you." I was like, "All right,
great.
kill me now. I'm happy I can die." But Randy Rainbow, I think, was like at that event was. And I ended up standing with him through a lot of it because all kinds of mayhem was happening around Randy Rainbow. It was really amazing, you guys.
Well, what's great about Randy Rainbow is he's not like a household name.
Yeah, there were people who didn't know who he was.
Explain to everybody who Randy Rainbow is.
Randy Rainbow is a guy that's doing a lot of parody videos on YouTube. He's big on YouTube.
Yes.
And he's doing.
He's a musical theater person.
He's doing like
great
Trump
voice.
parodies, like I would say Trump parodies.
Political.
So they're
in nature.
I guess what you would say left-leaning
Yes.
parodies. But he's hilariously funny.
Oh,
and very
gosh.
talented and just great. And so no one I don't think a lot of people know. His name but they see him and they go, oh my God, I know exactly who that is.
Right.
And it's so it's a lot of fun. And a lot of people really, he's really that good.
The people, he's so good. The people who knew who he was were freaking out.
Yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips had an amazing reaction to him.
Well, he got down on while we had cameras running. He shined his shoes and said, "I just want." And he said to me, "I didn't have the camera on." And he said, "This is what we're going to do." And he said, "I'm going to get down and shine his shoes, and you get it on camera."
Lou Diamond Phillips shoes.
Lou Diamond
No,
Phillips shined
Randy
Randy Rainbow's
shoes.
shoes,
Okay.
and he was saying to me, and then you pan up. I mean, I'm taking directions from Lou Diamond Phillips and happy to do so, right? But yes, that's because people who love Randy, that's how they feel about him. It's everybody was like, woo. And then there were people who didn't know who he was, and obviously there were people who were like, I don't find it funny. Right? Because, there are people who don't have a sense of humor about some things and other people who do, and, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to whatever. But, yes, to see, because we actually covered it live, the moment in which we were talking to Rosie and Randy Rainbow came on the red carpet, and you could hear like everything just sort of pitched up.
Yeah.
Like when you're at a horse race and when they're coming around the line and everything goes whoop. And she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Randy Rainbow," and she didn't hear me say that. But then a little bit later on, we saw her. She said to somebody, and the person that was with her said, "Randy Rainbow is here," and she turned around and ran to him and says, "Whatever you need, I will do anything for you." It's that he evokes that kind of devotion in the people who love
And he
him.
was great. He was great to work with. He was terrific.
He was a sweetheart.
He was great.
He was a real sweetheart. I have to say, the one and only picture of him with your dad, That was my picture.
Really?
That is my picture.
All right.
Anyway, and I was thrilled, and it was a moment when nobody else was paying attention, and he went over to meet your dad for the first time, and all the photographers were someplace else, and they started, and I was like, no, if no one else is going to take a picture, I'm going to take a picture. That's my picture.
There we go. Okay.
So there you go. It was a thrilling moment to watch them meet. Anyway, let's take a break, and then are you going to stay with us?
Yeah,
You've got more to
let
say.
me wrap up with talking a little bit more about
sorry,
Rock
about
Your
the event.
Speech.
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
it's the Rock Your Speech concert, and it's December 2nd at the Orpheum Theater. Like I said, you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster. Just look up Rock Your Speech. It'll be there, or Cheap Trick, or one of the bands. It'll be there. And order your tickets, order them now, and take part in this incredible event. It's going to be an amazing event. It'll be really talked about the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of big surprises there.
And it's raising funds for...
It's raising funds for Autism Society of America. And, we're really excited and think it's going to be an amazing event. So
Absolutely.
come on out.
All right, you've heard it here. And you'll probably hear more about it. So stick with us.
Stick
really
with us.
stick with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
This is Logan Shepherd. At first glance, he looks like a typical American teenager. He plays in a band, loves hanging out with his friends, he doesn't like doing homework, and he's not really fond of broccoli. But Logan Shepherd is not your typical 14-year-old. Logan was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He was nonverbal, made no eye contact, and his parents were told to abandon all hope. Instead, his parents began an intensive intervention treatment. At its center was a quality ABA program known as the CARD method. This is Logan Shepherd now.
All I really want to say is, I'm kind of copying Martin Luther King. I kind of have a dream, that one day, I can just, inspire people and never give up. Because, that's what I want to do in life. Because if I can succeed, they can succeed. And I will succeed.
To follow Logan's musical journey, visit www.facebook.com/officialdrummerrock or @drummerrock on Instagram. For more information on the CARD method, visit www.centerforautism.com or call 800-345-CARD. Rock on, Logan.
A lot of adults don't really believe kids. They'll think, kids are kids, what are they talking about? But when a child stands up for what they believe in, it's so strong and powerful. I first got involved with autism advocacy 4 years ago when my friend was diagnosed. When I found out about my friend's diagnosis, I didn't really understand what it meant. But it didn't matter to me or change our friendship. I didn't look at her any differently. We still had so much fun together. Now I know that she experiences life a little differently than me, and that's okay. Knowing what she goes through has helped me to understand and be more caring towards other people in similar situations. I got involved with ACT Today because I wanted to do whatever I could to help. They provide options like behavioral therapy, medical care, social skills programs, assistance to military families, and much more. Being there for my friend was my #1 priority. I've been volunteering and spreading the word about the cause via my social media platform because raising awareness is a crucial first step. There needs to be more kids and teens involved to make sure that our voices are heard just as loudly as the adults. You may be small like me, but your acts of kindness are not.
Welcome back.
Here we are.
We've had just
With Matt
intense
Astor,
back
we're
and
talking
forth
about
while we were gone.
one of our favorite subjects, music.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So we can continue
yes,
talking about
let's
music.
continue talking about, because you have some very special guests that you can talk a little bit about at the end.
Yes, and forgive me for not talking about them, because they're a big reason why we're there.
Well, and we just showed a clip, because I think Samantha
jarred my
thought
memory.
you were going to talk about, but yes, Logan Shepard.
It jarred my memory.
And Logan Shepard looms large in my story, because you guys have heard me talk before about, through some very miraculous circumstances, I got sent to a home on my darkest day, when I did not know what to do, and I was sent to this home to design a closet for the home, because that's what I was doing. I was working for a closet company. I have a master's degree in theater, but I couldn't teach college because my kid had autism.
Wow.
And so I was working for a closet company, and had literally been on my floor praying the night before, saying, I don't know what to do, and please help me to help my child. And I said, and if you show me what to do, I will do it, and I will help whoever I can once you help my child, right? That was, you talk about the kitchen floor club all the time. And that afternoon, I got sent to the Shepard home to design a closet for their son's playroom. And I was angry, because I was like, this kid has a playroom, and I'll bet he talks, and and I was furious. And the dad, just kept talking to me while I was measuring the closet. And finally I erupted on him and said, stop. Because he was like, do you have kids? And on your darkest day, you're like, oh, you have no idea, right?
Yeah, I have kids.
And I was looking at him going, here's this guy who has it all.
Right.
He's got this beautiful home, fenced backyard. He's got a little boy with a playroom.
Right.
Warming up my middle fingers for this guy. And he's asking me, do I have kids? Yes, I have a 2.5-year-old. Where's my son going to go to daycare? Where's he going to go to, nursery school? Ugh. And finally I blew up on him, and I was like, stop. You don't understand my life. My son has autism. My life isn't like yours. My life is never going to be like yours. Back off. And he said to me, wow, welcome to the club that you never wanted to belong to, but once you get here, you're going to see it's filled with amazing people. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, my son has autism. And he said, you're probably the luckiest person in the world, because somehow the universe sent you to my house today.
Wow.
And he said, and I'm going to tell you about a place that's just 30 miles down the road from here. It's a place called Card, and
You're kidding.
And miracles happen there.
Wow.
And that is why I'm here today. I mean, I have goosebumps.
Because of Peter Shepard.
And, well, no, because, as an autism parent, I was like, yeah, whatever. And he started asking me all these questions, and he looked at me finally, and he said, you know what? This is ridiculous. Forget the closet. I'm going to call my wife, tell her to bring my kid home. You need to meet my kid, because you're not going to take it from me. You need to meet my kid.
And how old was Logan at the time?
He was 5.
Wow.
And
wow.
I remember Logan coming into the room and running up to his dad, and he threw his arms around his dad, and he hugged his dad, and my kid wasn't hugging us at this point, right? He pulled back, made beautiful eye contact with his dad, and he looked at him and said, hey, Dad, later on, do you want to play video games? And that was it for me.
Right, because
like
that's what
he had white blonde hair,
kind of moment.
And I was like, if there's a possibility that my son's going to look at my husband that way, sign me up. Whatever.
Yeah.
These poor people. I stayed at their house for like that night. I think they thought they were going to have to adopt me because I was going to move in, and I still have the notes that I took at that meeting about Card and how to be a good Card parent and how to get the most out of my ABA.
Wow.
And years later, I said to Crystal Shepard, how can I ever repay you? What am I going to be able to do? And she said, oh, no. Pay that forward.
Huh.
Well, that's why I had a radio show, which became this. I mean, that's all because of Logan.
Because of that chain of
because
events.
of Logan. So Logan himself looms large in my story, right? And I didn't... And Mom's watching right now.
Oh, okay.
And but so then
Hello.
but then Logan,
Hi, Crystal.
Hello, Crystal. I know how much I love you. And but so then I find out that Logan happens to play the drums. I don't know this, right?
And you showed me videos of Logan a couple of years ago, I think.
Because I've been saying to you for a while, this young man has talent that is. And beyond. Like, we talk about kids that have talent that are on the spectrum, but this isn't even that.
Right.
Logan is talented beyond in his own right. He's 16 years old, and his face is on the side of New York City buses promoting concerts. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And he
he's gonna
just
be at
keeps
your
getting
event.
better.
And he is going to be at Rock Your Speech.
Which makes me so
He's
happy.
going to be at Rock Your Speech, and he's going to perform.
Yes.
And Crystal, we need to talk, so I'll be calling you, or Kaylee will be calling you, someone will be calling you, because we have to work out particulars. But he is going to be there.
Yes.
We're very excited to have him. He's going to perform. A great performer named Cody Lee is going to perform. Do you know Cody?
I don't know Cody.
Cody is autistic and blind.
Wow.
So, and he's gonna do a song for us, and then a young man named Will O'Neill is also joining us.
Okay.
From Chicago.
Wonderful.
And they're all on the spectrum.
They're all in the spectrum, and they're all amazing performers, and we're gonna welcome them and give them a great forum.
Of course.
And a great band to work with. Like a really good band to work with.
Come on. So again, that's Rock Your Speech.
Yep.
And that's happening on December 2nd at the Orpheum Theater here in Los Angeles.
You can get your tickets on Ticketmaster, or you can
Ticketmaster.com, or you can go to the website.
rockyourspeechconcert.org.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's happening right now. There are tickets that are VIP experience where you can be at a place where you can be talking to people if that's something that you want to do.
Well, yeah, we Allison and Tom and I were talking about this, and we thought that we should kind of come up with a plan if people really want a kind of VIP experience.
Yeah.
To really kind of let them have a VIP experience. So we devised these levels.
Right.
They're all on the website. You can go to the sponsor page on the website. They're all on the sponsor page on the website, and it's a great way of donating to a cause, having a lot of fun doing it,
Partying like a rock star.
Partying like a rock star, exactly.
Yeah, and
So,
I often say to people like,
and I just want to add too. There's the two top tiers, and they're not that high priced. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not high priced.
Right.
They're decently priced. You can get the gold level has a bag that you get that you can be eligible to win. So we're talking, there's going to be maybe 20 people involved in there.
Okay.
So you've got a pretty good chance of winning this bag of sticks and picks and all sorts of other things that have been used in the show by the artists that are performing.
That's very cool.
And like I said, there's going to be special guests there too. So it's probably worth every bit of money you spend doing it. Then the top tier, you're eligible to win a Tom Peterson signed bass.
Okay.
So great value for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people will frequently say, well, you guys get to go and meet people, and it must be so exciting.
Being on
and
the right
whatever.
carpet.
Well, we're working, and that's a different thing. And if people want to do that, you can work, and it takes years, and then it's a lot of work when you're on the red carpet. If you just want to meet people, you can walk around Hollywood and hope that you're going to meet somebody, but the best time and place to meet somebody is at one of these VIP meet and greets, because that they already know that that's the expectation at a VIP. They've already said, I want to raise money for this thing, so they want to meet you. You're going to get pictures. You're going to get to actually substantively talk to somebody, and for the price, it's really worth it. If you want to meet somebody, do a VIP experience.
Yeah, and then there's also other stuff involved, like I think he'll do a video shout out on social media.
Oh, there you go.
For you.
No, it's worth it. You guys.
There's a lot of great stuff involved, and so go to the website rockyourspeechconcert.org. Go to the sponsor page. The VIP packages are on the sponsor page, and we want you there. So come.
Everybody's going to be talking about it for a long time afterwards. Matt knows how to do these things, as evidenced by how much we just talked about an event that happened how many months ago, when we were talking about the poker tournament. Okay. Go ahead.
It is hard work.
It is hard work.
It is hard work, but I do it because I love it, and I guess in some weird way I need to do it.
Yeah.
So
I look at you, Matt.
Pay it forward.
You're like the poster child for self-actualization, really, if you think about it. No, because you had this world before. You were in the music world and in the entertainment world.
Correct.
And and kind of born into it with your dad being as famous as he is, and then you have a kiddo who's on the spectrum, and a
brother.
And a brother before that.
I have 3 kiddos on the spectrum.
Now, yes.
And a brother and a nephew.
But being able to marry all your talents together to do something that furthers all of your agendas, that's kind of the poster child for self-actualization, Matt.
Well, it's funny because, and I've had this, like, people say, oh, the stuff you do now is so different from what you did before. And I said, no, it's really not. It's not that different.
No, it's not
But
that
it's got a higher
different.
purpose now.
That's what I feel
You know
too.
that,
I
right?
like working in television and now working for
It's not that
Actor Day.
different.
It's not
Yeah.
that different.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because
Producing events
you want to
but
do
for a
it.
different way.
But you
yeah.
want to do it. So
you want to do it.
Yeah.
I guess you get up in the morning and you think, okay, I've got all this stuff I need to do, and I've got all these worries, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
And also, we have to say, you are very happily married. In
Well,
fact,
I
today,
want to talk about that.
Yes,
really,
let's
because
talk about
today
that.
is my anniversary.
Yes. I can't believe 3 years.
3 years.
I can't believe that.
No, it's incredible.
It seems like it's been.
As I posted
a year.
yesterday on Facebook, I'm still the luckiest man in the world.
And that's
And
a
I am.
lovely thing. I had only just met you before you and Nava started dating.
That's right.
But I remember very distinctly the day that you came in and I said, "What's going on? Something's different. What's up with you?" And you were like, "Well, and I was like, "No, really, what's going on?"
I'm in love.
And that's what he said. We went to
That
break
is
and
what I
he
said.
he said, "I'm in love." And I
Yeah.
went, "Whoa."
How did you guys meet?
Well, actually, I met Nava doing my job. I'd known her brother for a long time. And then Eddie, who's our youngest, was diagnosed.
Right.
And so she was kind of, really concerned and worried and really needed a place to, like she was having her bad day or a bad time and needed that kind of guidance and togetherness. And so her brother put her together with me.
Right.
And we talked for a long time, and I got her involved with the organization I was involved with at the time. And
as a support person,
as
as
a
somebody
support
to
person,
help.
yeah.
That's all
No,
it was.
And we became really good friends. She was, we both went through divorces at the same time.
Right.
And, I think one day we just kind of looked up and said, wait a second here. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to it than that.
Right,
Sure.
of course there is.
But I think what's great is that it started, very innocently in a sort of professional capacity, and
Yeah.
then went to friends, and then
The
went to
autism
the relation.
connection once
Yes.
again
Oh, yeah.
brought you guys
Yeah.
together.
And I was, honestly, ever since I met her, I've been amazed by her. She's got this incredible energy, and she has the ability to talk to people and really reach them.
She's amazing.
And it's amazing.
She's wonderful, and the two of you together. It's
Of
been
course.
it's been really fun to watch the two of you together. We say things behind your back about, my goodness, if you spend too much time with them in a room, you could get diabetes because because it's just so sweet and it's fabulous, and everybody loves your story because you have this great. Everybody calls you the Brady Bunch of autism.
Yeah.
You have this wonderful blended family, 6 kids, 3 on the spectrum.
And you're making it work.
We are making it work. There are a lot of great ingredients there that kind of miraculously lined up, that help us make it work. I think we get a lot of time together, which is great. And, we know the importance of trying to make sure that we have time for ourselves. And that's a huge part of, I think, what makes everything work so well.
But you guys have also been through the poo.
Oh, yeah.
Both before you got together and since you've been together.
Sure.
I mean, right when you guys were getting married, Nava's
Yeah.
father passed,
Yeah.
which was devastating, and
Very
I'm sure
hard.
is still devastating.
Yeah.
You've had, you both had parents being ill.
Yeah.
You've had issues with having to move very suddenly
Oh no!
because of.
And there's a great short film out there on YouTube. If you look up Asner family, and it'll come up. It's actually really a great thing to look at to kind of show. We've had a lot of stuff that we've had to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that you guys had this idyllic.
Rosy, yeah. Everybody.
Well, I mean,
it's had its challenges
Of
that
course.
you guys have had to deal
yeah,
with.
and I
just
just
like every
want
family.
I just wanted to bring that up because I think sometimes people they look at somebody they go, oh well, you must have it easy, and I just want them to know that's
Shannon.
not the case.
People look at people and say, well, that's
will say
for
that.
you, not for me.
Oh yeah.
I will say this. I think I'm incredibly lucky. Like I said, I think I'm incredibly lucky that I have someone to kind of get in the trenches with, like Nava. because she's a force.
But she says the same thing about you.
Yeah.
And it and it's wonderful to see how she adores you is a wonderful thing to see, because I think we all love you, and to see somebody care that deeply about you, we all go, oh, I'm so glad, right?
I'm glad too.
That's a happy for all of us.
Yeah.
And to see that love between the two of you and how much mutual respect you have for each other and how kind you are to each other. I always bring it up because I think there are a lot of people who are watching who are single parents with autism. That's you now.
That's me now.
And not
right.
by choice,
No,
right?
not by choice.
Which stinks,
Sucks.
right?
It really sucks.
But I always want people to know that there is still love out there.
There's hope. I think your story gives people hope.
Yes,
there is hope.
Absolutely.
There is.
You didn't think that was going to happen for you, did you?
I was sleeping on. I was actually sleeping on couches. I think when Nav and I really started kind of dating, and I was still sleeping on couches, and it was. I was in a. I think we were both in such a weird place,
right?
And we just really kind of it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So it's it's great.
It is great, which is not to say that you're not going to face other challenges down the road, because even finding each other, you face the challenges.
That's life. Life is challenge.
That is life.
Sure is.
Life is challenge. Life is about challenge that smacks you in the head at 4 a.m. and wakes you up out of bed, and and how you deal with that, together and even alone is that's a great secret of life.
Yes, how you define your life. It's how you deal with challenges.
Absolutely.
But it's lucky to find somebody that cares as much. I'm very lucky. I know my husband is watching this morning. He already said, I'm super lucky. You were lucky in having Reed.
I had many years of great luck and co-parenting.
And I firmly believe, and I'm putting this out there, that there is another great love coming to you.
Yes.
And Reed would give his blessings on that. I know that as one of his good friends, that he would be thrilled for that. So that's coming.
Okay.
We've ordered it up from the universe.
I agree. There's good juju here.
And it's and sometimes you're with somebody that it isn't right, but when you've got the right person, to stay in the trenches and fight through as long as you can.
It's hard when you're in it and you think you're alone. It's very difficult.
And there are lots of people who are watching there that are out there that are alone, and it is not how they want it to be.
Right.
And I think it's great that all of us can attest to the fact that we've been in the trenches with somebody, and that's a thing worth fighting for. Always get the right person.
Having somebody to share those burdens and those challenges is amazing.
And if you know the gentleman that is going to be Nancy's next great love, let me know. I've always wanted to be a Yenta.
Yeah, you're
just
a Yenta.
Send me pictures of gentlemen that you would like for me to fix up. Nancy,
wait, I think you've set up an email address. It's love4nancy@autism-live.com.
There we go. Right.
It's a new cause.
Right. And we want somebody who's fabulous and wonderful and that will enjoy Wyatt, and it wouldn't hurt. Isn't that what they say in a matchmaker? And please make him wealthy too.
Yeah,
right?
is that what they say?
That wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt if he was as wealthy as anything.
Not
That's
a prerequisite.
The line from matchmaker.
Right.
Not a prerequisite.
Not a prerequisite, but it wouldn't hurt. I'm just saying. In any case, we should take a break, and then it's time to do in the news.
Yeah.
So stick with us.
You're going to hang out with us, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hello, fellow activists. In our last segment, we talked about step number 2, educate yourself. Step number 3 is get support. Now, any journey can feel overwhelming if you feel like you're walking it alone. Well, you're far from alone, because with 1 in 50 kids diagnosed with autism today, there are a lot of us out there. Of course, there's always the issue of financial support. Now, there's a handful of organizations out there that offer financial support to families in need. ACT Today, or Autism Care and Treatment Today, is one of them. Visit our website at www.act-today.org to find out more about our grant process. I want to talk about a different kind of support today, emotional support. Now, you can get that from other travelers on this path. Some of the best advice I've ever received is from the moms of other kids with autism who went to school with Wyatt or were involved with programs with him. Then there are the pioneers. These are the families that have gone through this years ago And there was very little information out there. All of these people seem to have the desire to pay it forward. Now, one of them, Lisa Ackerman, who is one of my mentors, started an organization called TACA, Talk About Curing Autism. She actually took the concept of mentors and support groups and made it available to everybody. You can go to their website, talkaboutcuringautism.org, to find out more. During the first and most difficult year after Wyatt's diagnosis, I wrote an email to close family and friends, letting them know what was going on and the challenges our family was facing and why we dropped out of sight. I was amazed at the outpouring of love and affection and all the help I received from that email. First, you have to be vulnerable. You can't be afraid to ask. Try this out. Could you cook me a meal? Are you going to the market? Can you pick me up a few things? Could your kids play with my kid and make them feel included? Or can you come over and clean my house? Well, maybe not that last one, except with your best friend. And maybe the best support of all is having someone that listens, and that doesn't cost a dime. So until next time, surround yourself with the loving kindness of others and keep the faith.
And we're back with Let's Talk Autism, and we're joined by our very close friend, Matt Asner is here with us, and he's sharing about this fabulous event that they've got coming up. And now we're going to be doing a little bit of In the News. And
Yeah, let's plug the event one more time.
Yes,
We
one
can't
more
plug the
time.
event.
Rock Your
Enough.
Speech concert. It's on December 2nd at the Orpheum Theater. Full set by Cheap Trick. Red Cross, the Dandy Warhols, the Empty Hearts, which is kind of a pop super group of people from the 80s, like Elliot Eastman from the Cars,
Cool.
and Clem Burke from Blondie, and Romantics, and then Jeanette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde, Terry Nunn from Berlin, and Logan Shepard, and Cody Lee, and Will O'Neill, and it's going to be amazing, and you need to be there.
It's going to be an amazing night.
Fabulous.
It's gonna be-
December
Theater,
2nd.
December
You can
2nd.
go and party like a rock star.
Get your
Lots of VIP
Ticketmaster
packages.
tickets.
Yes,
Yes.
Ticketmaster
Tickets online.
VIP packages can be got at rockyourspeechconcert.org.
You want to feel special? That's the
Do
way
it.
to do it.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay, so
Right,
we had some in the news.
Yes, we
More
have
disturbing.
another. It seems like these stories come up every week. Don't
I
they?
am so sick and tired of hearing our kids being restrained at school in improper ways. And so now we've got a 9-year-old boy in Indiana who was restrained with handcuffs.
Yes, and he claimed he was defending himself against bullying when he was arrested.
And so we're going to wait to hear more information about this.
Right.
But I also want to remind everybody that tomorrow on tomorrow's show, we're having Bonnie Yates, special education attorney. We had so many questions that came in last week specifically about bullying, that her whole time with us tomorrow is going to be about bullying, what our rights are as parents, what we can know. Because this is the kind of stuff that incenses me, that far likely we're going to hear that this boy has told someone before that he was being bullied,
Right.
and that everybody poo-pooed it. Right? Like, we don't know that for fact in this story, but we've seen it happen a million times. And then finally, our kid lashes out. And because they're on the spectrum, nobody knows quite how to deal with it because nobody's trained properly.
Right.
So we end up with a 9-year-old in handcuffs.
They've confirmed that the police have confirmed that the boy is accused of battering a student and 2 teachers.
And there are witnesses that say that he was on the back of a teacher. But now, we all know, because we have kids on the autism spectrum, that all behavior is communication.
Yeah.
So how do we get to, I'm a former classroom teacher, thank you very much. How do you get to the point where a student is on your back? A lot has to happen before that moment. And those are all
It escalates.
opportunities in which somebody, if you're properly trained. Now listen, teachers aren't properly trained.
We admit that,
And
but there are a lot of school districts that just don't have the training.
And they say we can't do it. We've started something here called Autism in the Classroom. We've got a big virtual conference that we're putting together for the spring, because we want to make sure that even if teachers can't afford it, if the schools can't afford it, we want to make sure that the training gets available to everyone, because these kinds of things don't have to happen.
No, they don't. We're reading about them, it seems like every other
Way
week.
too often.
Well-
The teacher who put her kid in zipped him into a gym bag because she didn't know what to do with him.
Well, aren't we kind of entering into a period where that's probably going to happen more often?
Of course.
Well, that's why we've started Autism in the
incidences.
Classroom, thanks to Miss Betsy DeVos and all the
No,
things
exactly. I mean,
that she's redlining and rescinding and
Well, classrooms are already under-resourced.
Right.
and they're going to get even more under-resourced.
Yes.
And the incidences of
Undertrained
autism are
Yes.
rising as the schools are getting under-resourced. So
Yeah.
that's not a good combination.
It only has the potential to get worse, but that's why I'm saying to people, every parent, there is training that you can make available to your teachers. We're going to make training available here that will be good training, and it's going to be free, but we'll also give resources to more extensive training, which unfortunately won't be free. Lots of different resources, but I want to make a library of videos so that a teacher who is up pacing at 2 o'clock in the morning, who's like, I've got this kid and I want to make a difference, can go online and find it right then, right that moment for free.
Good for you,
That's
Shannon.
important
That's
to
great.
me. But anyway, and I ask everybody to join with me in, what can you do? Talk to teachers, let them, I don't have it for you yet, but it's coming. In any
Okay,
case.
we have another story here about
more positive.
promise. A lot of promise seen in possible treatment for autism spectrum disorder. And it's about the human chromosome. Okay, this is kind of
It gets
wordy
technical.
here. 16p11.2 deletion syndrome. It's caused by the absence of about 27 genes on chromosome 16. And what they've done in a lab is that they found that a drug called R-baclofen reverses this.
And we're in mouse models
That's
at this
not a
point.
new drug either. That drug's been around for a while,
Really?
I think. Yeah.
But this is coming to us from a study from MIT and University of California at Davis. And I want to tell everybody you can go to news.mit.edu to read more about it. But it is also published in Neuropsychology Pharmacology. And this has potential, they believe, to treat autism and intellectual disability.
Yes.
Which is a very exciting thing.
Yeah, it
Isn't that
doesn't
fun?
say when this could possibly be available. Like
Still
you
in
said,
mouse
it's
model.
still in mouse model. I'm sure the next step will be working on some sort of clinical trial with kids.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully it will be made available to the public before.
Making clinical studies in the future possible.
Yes.
So there we go.
And all having to do with GABA. We talk a lot on the show about GABA, and I think they just keep inching closer and closer and closer. We're going to get to more answers. But not soon enough.
Not
right?
soon enough.
Not
Not
soon
while
enough.
they're still in mouse
But as long
models.
as I always say, I love to go to sleep at night knowing that greater minds are working on this.
Yes.
Right? Right.
Yes.
That it's in that kind of thing is in somebody else's hands. Okay. We've got 2 minutes, they're telling
Okay.
me, and I have to prep for tell them about. I have to plug tomorrow's show. But
show.
what else do you guys? Halloween, good, yes.
Halloween was good. Yeah, Wyatt was a chef. We went out in our old neighborhood of Hidden Hills, and he knows he can't have, dairy and gluten, so he tells the people when he comes to the door, do you have anything gluten-free? And sometimes
awesome.
they don't, but
Awesome that he's asking. We gave her a picture because this costume was kicking my butt. There is Jem.
I can't believe you made this fabulous.
Okay, so
costume
this
from
jacket,
scratch.
I made that's a hand dyed, fitted to him with red pleather that kicked my butt. I did not make the mask, but Dad made the flamethrower that is attached to his backpack that you can't see.
And how did he do?
I'm impressed with the mask. That's a great mask.
Yeah, but you can buy those masks at Goodwill.
Really?
There's somebody, and I believe that there's an autism connection to it. They make them, and they're at all the Goodwills in Los Angeles.
Really?
And they're relatively inexpensive. I think that was $12. But he uses puzzle pieces that he glues on them. Whoever makes them. So I firmly believe that there is an autism
Those masks
connection.
are available at Goodwill?
Yes.
Really?
Yes,
the last
check out
place I
your
would
local
think that's
Goodwill
where.
here in Los Angeles. And they have all different kinds of them that make, that one's a gas mask, but they have half ones, they have full ones. They're amazing, amazing work. And often they have puzzle pieces glued onto them. So I believe that there is an autism
But
connection.
so Jim had fun, and
He had fun, he had a very good time, and
now what do you guys do about the candy?
well, we've always had a thing where he gets, because he never could have sugar or the colors or whatever. So he gets the candy. And when he was little, it was the Lego fairy. Well, the Lego fairy is going to come. You leave your candy in a bowl on the dining room table, and the Lego fairy takes it and leaves you a Lego.
Okay.
Obviously, and then
That's a good
and then my
solution
niece
there.
did the Barbie fairy with her kids who aren't on the spectrum. Now it's just, he knows that it goes away, and he tells me what he wants.
Right.
We just trade it. That's what. Now, what about for you guys? 6 kids? Did anybody trick or treat?
You know what? We were kidless.
Oh.
We were kidless.
Didn't have the kids.
So we did not have the kids. So we
Is
were,
that hard to be kidless, or is that woohoo? Kind of both.
Depends on
how everybody's feeling.
There's an element of woo-woo,
Yes.
to
Right.
not having kids. Yeah.
So it was date
but
night.
It was sort of date night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have trick-or-treaters come by your house?
You know, we didn't have any trick-or-treaters. We had
No?
baseball.
Okay.
That's
We
what we
didn't-
had. We watched
yeah.
baseball.
Yes.
That was pretty
Yes,
exciting.
and the Dodgers won.
Dodgers.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that last game tonight?
Last game's tonight.
All right,
we're all gonna be
well,
watching.
fingers crossed. We're out of time, but tomorrow Bonnie Yates is going to be here, and also we have the fabulous Milan that you guys heard us talk about a couple of weeks ago from the We Rock the Spectrum that is opening on the 5th, I got to get it right, in Austin, Texas. And she's a bit of an autism whisperer, and we said we got to have her on the show, so that's happening tomorrow, plus a whole lot more. I'm out of time. Thank you so much for being here, both of you.
Thank you.
And until
fun, as
until
always.
tomorrow, we'll see you then. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.